How many times have you heard the term, the phrase, no pain, no gain? You used to hear it so often that people began to backlash against that. They would say, you know what? People have been hurt doing no pain, no gain. Today, we're going to talk about a study that deals with that issue. It's looking at intensive resistance training. And it's saying, look, how much better is intensive training for resistance for people as they retire? What happened was they said, okay, we're going to take a group of people that are retiring. We're going to do intensive, high resistance, intensive work for a year. And then we're going to have a couple of comparisons. One is a medium level comparison. The third is somebody that's, just do whatever. The results were very, very clear. So we may have to get a little bit deeper into this question of no pain, no gain. Is it good? Is it bad? Unfortunately, I think we're going to have to go a little bit deeper than that. Jesus, you want to join us?
Absolutely. How is it going, Dr. Brewer?
Well, as you know, continued problems with technology. Now we've got this new lens, and it solved some problems and created a bunch of new ones.
That's what happened when you buy your stuff from Temu.
When I what?
When you buy your stuff from Temu, that's what happens.
Temu?
Oh man, you just screw up my joke. Okay, let's talk about exercise then. Well, for those who got it, I appreciate if you laugh. Okay, so you were talking about no pain, no gain, and how to exercise properly. I have two studies to show. I just have one screenshot though. We were reviewing what's the best exercise that seniors could do. Maybe 2 or 3 exercises that you know that if you're a senior, you definitely have to do. And the reason why comes from this small study, which is just one example of many studies that have shown similar benefits. If you do include resistance training into your exercise routine regularly, you will see benefits on the strength and steadiness, being able to hold on your own, not depending on anyone when you're 70 or 80, and being as strong as you probably were, or even more, even stronger than you were on your 30s or 40s. And the key is to be consistent and to train on your core and your legs. So this study found that even if you go into a program for about a year and then you just stay consistent on certain exercises, you can get the benefits and remain with the benefits for over 4 years. And this is a study done in seniors. So it's very interesting because we kind of assume and automatically say, okay, if you're a senior, it's going to be nearly impossible to build muscle. And what we have seen is that it really depends on how consistent you are on the exercise that you need to do every day. Do you have any comments on this before we move on to the next point, Dr. Brewer?
Not on this specifically. Well, but it brings up a lot of topics. For example, we saw something similar with HIIT training versus aerobics. Yep. You need some version of aerobics, but you go back to some of the studies that actually looked at mitochondrial mass, and aerobics did not impact mitochondrial mass like high intensity interval work. You get this study is similar, but more for resistance training, showing that, you need to pay attention to intensity. Intensity is important.
Correct. And just yesterday, I was talking to one of our patients in our health coaching session. And I was asking the person, hey, when's the last time you got some soreness in your legs after exercising? And the answer was like decades ago when I used to do, what's the sport he said? The thing where we launched that kind of a big stick around. I don't know the name of that. The sport.
Oh, yeah. I'll remember it in a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
Hopkins used to have people at Hopkins were not known to be athletes, but the Hopkins undergraduate schools had a national class team in this sport, and it's not that non-athletic. It's a little bit intellectual. It was a sport that was built, and I think originally focused on by American natives. You saw it down in well, I'm going down a bunny hole. I'll think of it and let you know.
Well, I don't remember the name of the sport. I apologize. I practiced it. It's a word that I don't use that often. Anyway, the point was, if you are stuck on your weight loss journey, if you have weak muscles, if you feel like, oh man, if I fall any of these days, I'm gonna have a broken hip. When's the last time you got sore in your legs, where you really worked out your body to a point where you wake up the next morning and you're like, man, I really exercised a lot yesterday? That's kind of the stuff that you need to aim to moving forward. Not even just to improve, but at least maintain some of the muscle you have. And of course, you still can win some muscle with the right strategy. But I want to help you guys make it as simple as possible and start with a couple of exercises that you might be able to do. Some of these might not be as easy as they look, and some people might not be able to do them, which is fair. But I'm pretty sure that at least one of the exercises I'm going to show you should be able to do. So first one is planks. And I know planks might get a bad rep. I know they might be challenging for shoulders and elbows, and even your ankles if you already have an injury. So many seniors might have challenges doing this. But if you can do planks, there's a study that showed that even if you do planks 3 times a week, you can improve core strength and even improve your immune system for something closer to 3 to 12 weeks after starting the routine. The key is being consistent and trying to increase the amount of time that you can tolerate. So if you're able to do 30-second to 1-minute planks, and you're able to repeat that for about, let's say, starting at 8, 10, up to 15 sets 3 times a week, those are going to make a major difference. Of course, you don't want to go from 0 to 100 during the first time, but as you progress, you want to do more and more and more. And there's a really good for core strength. I think I have seen you doing planks at some point. I should have taken pictures of Brewer. How often do you do these?
I actually don't do planks a whole lot. Here's what I have started doing, though, is I've recently, just over the past month, with some the traveling with Fred and Fred's discussion about that Russian group that started a lot of this super intense isometric. One of the things I started doing, I have one of those push-up boards where you're up on a handle rather than pushing directly from the floor, so it increases your range of motion. And instead of just doing my normal 10 or 15 push-ups, I do half of the push-ups and then I stop with my chest and nose almost about an inch from the floor, and I hold it there. And I'm noticing some big changes in the stability related muscles, probably the rotator cuffs in my shoulders. And I'm noticing a lot of pain because I start doing, it's like the prolonged, the minute and a half deep lunges. You start getting that burn in those muscles.
That's awesome. There's a routine by Dr. Bokikio, who he showed us like last year on Low Carb USA, and they do something similar to that, where any kind of resistance training that you do, you kind of hold it on the wider end, like if you're doing chest, and you just open like this, and you stay there for a few seconds before relaxing back. That really stretches the muscles and can promote what they call hypertrophy, creating more muscle cells and make them larger. All right, but I can understand if planks are not for you, if it's hard for you to do planks, that happens. This one, it's a changer, and this is actually how I start my trainings. And for the fact that you started doing this as well, which is wall squats. So you just put your back against the wall, sit down like if you're sitting on the air, and you can grab a chair or something to hold from the sides if you are afraid of losing stability. If you are able to stay there 30 seconds to 1 minute, you're really going to feel the burn on your quads. And it's also a good exercise to start your routine. And it also can decrease your blood pressure, as many isometric exercises do. How long can you hold into this position, Dr. Brewer?
I'm not the best. I thought I was doing well with my one-legged step squats, but I'm doing about a minute and a half, a minute and 15, and I'm getting a lot of burn, and I'm saying, okay, you know what? That's enough pain for today. But I'm also getting geared up into the fact, Fred's talking about this group. This group was called Evo Ultra Fit, I think is the name of it. And they do a lot of work with professional athletes. They did a lot of work with his kids and his son, Craig. And they talked about actually going for like 5 minutes in those kind of postures till you actually collapsed and then getting up and doing it again. I think that's a little bit more than I'm going to be doing anytime soon. But again, these folks had some great results in terms of the professional athletes of the world. Now, I'm not trying to become a professional athlete. I'm not in the business of trying to help my patients become professional athletes. But as you and I have said multiple times, as you get beyond age 60, muscle strength becomes a huge issue. And that's another point. I'm gonna save it for later. But as you and I talked about this, when you look through the research in this area, it's all about, oh, you're not going to fall. Oh, you're going to have this. You're going to protect yourself from injuries that happen as you age. There's something far more important than even that I'm going for.
Definitely. And you scolded me when I told you what the show was going to be about. And I'm like, oh, you just think all people are fragile, right? That's what you think. And I'm like, well, the point of the show was about the strength and staying away from falls. But I agree with you. There are multiple other benefits of doing this. I think the major issue is that even if you who are watching the show right now, and I'm saying you're a hardcore viewer, we appreciate you. I know for a fact that you are on the top 1% of people health-wise. You are actually exercising a lot. But the truth is that most people, not even just seniors, most people are not exercising enough. The amount of people who actually exercise every day, that are consistent, that are getting enough muscle mass, it's very slim. Most people are not doing this. And that's that's the group that I'm trying to reach with this show, trying to explain them that if they're not doing this, they need to start somewhere. And after the wall squats, you can do just regular squats. If you're able to do 8 to 12 reps and do 2 or 3 sets out of that a day, that's a good start. And if you can do those very easily, you can use one of favorites Dr. Brewer tricks, which is putting a weight vest and doing some squats with a weight vest on. Those are really, really, really train and work your legs, which is, as Dr. Brewer says, I don't want to steal your thunder. What's your opinion on legs and metabolic health?
I'm glad to hear you finally acknowledging that rather than just talking about it'll keep you from falling and breaking your hip.
Well, that's my main point. That's still my goal, but I will acknowledge that there are other benefits. And as Dr. Brewer said, and he didn't want to say it, your legs are your most important safety valve against insulin resistance and prediabetes and metabolic disease. You know these ones. You do them very often, don't you?
I used to. again, I'm actually looking around for better ways to really get thigh and hip, and that deep lunge that Fred was talking about, doing a minute to a minute and a half of a very deep lunge, along with the minute to a minute and a half wall squat. That's all my thighs will take
And
right
that's good.
now.
And this is a good first step. And I think what happens is that you are kind of an advanced mode now, right? But step ups are a good
Yeah,
first step if you haven't done this. And
yeah,
the key is not doing them too quickly. Go up, stay for a minute, and then go back. Well, not a minute, but stay a little bit and then go back, and try to feel the movement in your legs. And you can increase the complexity and the difficulty by increasing the height of the step. You can do it on the stairs, as Dr. Brewer does them. And you can also do the weight vest as well as you move on into increasing the complexity and the difficulty on this. But the key is just to start. And the lunges that the Brewer is referring to is basically the same, but it's flat on the floor, and then you just align your front knee with your feet, your toe, and you push down and forward until you feel it. And it's more like an isometric exercise where you feel the burn in one of your legs and try to hold them as low as possible. It's really hard, gotta tell you. I'm really impressed on how much Dr. Brewer can do on those.
I think one of the things you bring up is a topic that we really do need to discuss, and I think that's the point that I brought up in the intro. I still see people talk about a couple of comments on here saying that pain is bad. Unfortunately, and I don't want to sound masochistic here, but I think it's true. I think we have to redefine pain. What do I
Yeah,
mean by that? I just did some versions of these squats this morning, and all of a sudden I start sweating. I start going, and my thighs and hips are starting to burn. And a lot of people, that's uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to feel that pain. But unfortunately, especially as we age past 50, we run into a thing called anabolic resistance. Our muscles fail to rebuild the way they did when they were your age. And yep, we talk about supplements for it. One of our most popular videos was the video on creatine. But unfortunately, supplements are no replacement for lifestyle. And I think it's critical as we age that we have to get used to finding ways and experiencing what many people, a discomfort, what many people call pain, but it's not really pain. It's a discomfort. It's that burn that you're talking about. If you're not experiencing that burn on a regular basis and you're over age 60, you got a problem. You got to be you got to develop the personal discipline to experience that burn. And one of the reasons, there are two things to changing behavior. And we're talking about changing health behavior. That's what we do all day, every day. One is motivation and discipline, but the other is knowing why. And that's the whole purpose of this video today. Why do you need to experience that burn?
definitely.
Anabolic resistance.
Fantastic. And I want to mention something about pain, but first I would like just to address a Take ADSR comment, which is really important. This is probably not the best image, I gotta admit, because yes, doing a step up on such a small step, it can be dangerous if you have balance issues. So you can do it next to a wall where you can hold on, or just to the stairs, as Dr. Brewer says, does it, and just holding to the handrail. But that's a good comment. Thank you so much for bringing it up. Yeah, in regards to pain, and there are different types of pain. Like if you're exercising and you're starting to feel pain in your elbows, in your shoulders, on the joint pain, that's something you don't want. That usually means you're
Yeah.
doing a bad technique or you're pushing your boundaries too much. If you can do 4 reps with the weight you're using, let's say for even for biceps curls or whatever you're doing, if you're on rep 5, rep 6, and you cannot do anything, and you're starting to feel pain on your joints, hips, knees, you name it, that probably means it's too much weight or it's the bad technique. So be careful about that. That's not the pain we're talking about. As Dr. Brewer said, we're talking about the pain on the muscle, on the leg
Yeah.
muscle, on the arm muscle, on the back muscle, not on the joints. And when you're doing kind of a high intensity interval training or you're doing intense aerobic exercise, you got to be careful about one thing is not being able to breathe because of the effort, like doing like Dr. Brewer likes to do all the time, or compare to a chest pain that is so deep that it doesn't even allow you to breathe normally. That's very, very different. So that's what we're saying. We're not advocating for any kind of pain. We're talking about that pain that just like when you used to, if you were an athlete, you used to do a sport, you wake up the next morning after a heavy training day and you feel sore from certain muscle parts of your body. That's what happened to me the first time I came back to play soccer after my ankle injury. I was mauled. Well, I don't know what the word is. I could barely get up from the bed the next day. It was painful, but I enjoyed it and I was happy about it because I knew that I was moving some muscles that I haven't moved in a while.
Now, to your point about joints, right after my first marathon, I was noticing how tight my hamstrings were getting. I wasn't doing enough strength training for my legs as well as upper body. I wasn't doing enough HIIT training. I was just getting real tight hips and hamstrings, and I was doing a stretch that really wasn't appropriate. And I was noticing a little bit more and more pain in the lateral part of my knee, and actually did tear a meniscus doing the wrong kind of stretching, the wrong kind of pain. So you really need to focus on how to do this and really get more of a muscle burn, not a joint pain.
Definitely. Especially, I mean, again, I'm not saying all seniors are fragile, but as you age, you get at risk of injuries. You got to be careful with those joints. And it happens at younger age as well. It has happened to me. So, yeah, definitely. All right.
So a couple of quick points. Were you talking about lacrosse a minute ago?
No, javelin.
Oh, javelin.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about lacrosse. Anyway,
lacrosse is more like a team sport, isn't it? Like,
yeah, it is.
I have seen it, where you kind of they're trying to emulate football with hockey and on grass, and it's kind of it's cool. It looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I was talking about the other one. Anyone who's doing athleticism, any kind of a sport, and at some level of a competitive sport, you know what I'm talking about. And I'll be surprised if anyone in this show has never felt that. I will be surprised. All right. Any additional comments on exercise? Do you have any additional kind of specific exercise tricks that you do that you want to share with the audience?
Not a trick.
What's Dr. Brewer's secret?
But I want to go back and repeat. And I think you still got my, you said I scolded you. I think you still got the wrong point behind that.
Oh, man.
I'm not saying that you're saying that adults, that 60 and older seniors are fragile. That's not really the point. Here's my point. Whenever you talk about strength, it's all about, again, fragility and avoiding injury. To me, that is less than half of the benefit of strong, healthy muscle. You brought it up a minute ago, but I want to get a little bit deeper, especially up until we're age 50. The biggest issue for most people, much more people, is the problem of having too much body fat. But as you get into your 60s and beyond, the problem appears on a public health, large numbers, most people kind of basis, the problem tends to switch to where you don't have enough muscle. Now, why is muscle important? I'm going to repeat what Jesus said a minute ago. Metabolically active muscle is your most important safety valve against metabolic disease. And, the biggest challenge with most of the medical system right now is that we don't understand just how common, how prevalent metabolic disease is. Too much fat, especially visceral fat, drives the problem because overactive fat cells, especially visceral cells, create a thing called resistin, which is a hormone which drives insulin resistance. But metabolically healthy muscles bypass struggling insulin receptors. And as we age and as we experience metabolic disease, we begin to lose our capillaries. Why are the capillaries so important? Because that's the real estate. That is exactly where insulin receptors live. How are you going to stimulate that? Not with diet, but with, as Jesus likes to say, that I like to do, oxygen deprivation of those muscles. So we're not talking about long, slow distance for that. We're talking about stimulating capillary growth. The only thing that's been shown to do that is high intensity interval work. Likewise, we've known for decades, since the 60s, that the mitochondria are critical to healthy aging. I don't think it's been quite so clear that this is how much this is linked to metabolic disease and dealing with metabolic disease. But one of the big studies was a crossover design study at Mayo, and they actually even did muscle biopsies to look at mitochondrial concentration and mitochondrial health in the muscles. The biggest growth that they saw was not in aerobic work. Aerobic work was a distal third in terms of stimulating mitochondria. Number one was high intensity interval work again. And number two, a very close second, was resistance training. So again, we're talking about intensity in both of these. Again, as you age past 60, more and more people begin to have problems with having healthy muscle, and therefore muscle that's going to protect you from metabolic disease. If you go back and you say, okay, well, metabolic disease is the number one killer and disabler, then what's the best internal safety valve? Again, it's muscle. And getting good, healthy mitochondria, good, healthy capillaries for your insulin receptors. You can have your diet totally geared in, totally, completely where you want it. It's still not going to impact those two things. Exercise is the only way you're going to impact mitochondria, capillaries, capillary penetration, capillary mass, and mitochondrial mass.
Yep. There's no escaping to that. There's no supplement that's going to substitute exercise. But the worst exercise you can do is the one that you're not doing right now. So it's better to start with something.
Yeah.
All right. So before we go to the comments, I will have a lot of questions and comments, which I'm happy to see. I want to remind you about two things. One, if you're looking for help, somebody to help you out, identify what your specific needs are. If you want to be one of the patients, just like the one I talked to yesterday, where we discussed this in depth, and we're going to be creating a specific exercise plan for this person. If you want to do something like that, give us a call, 859-721-1414. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a plan that will fit your needs. Dr. Brewer, we just kind of starting to analyzing how one of a kind you are. It's not just because of the YouTube following, but it's like there's only less than 2% preventive medicine doctors in the U.S. licensed and specialized in preventive medicine. And I think during that less than 1%. John Hopkins trained, which is not a small thing. And then there's only a handful, like 14 to 20 doctors licensed in all 50 states, and you're still one of those, Dr. Brewer, which is very impressive. So, but Dr. Brewer cannot be everywhere. So that's why he trained a group of nurses, nurse practitioners, and health coaches who most of us happen to be doctors elsewhere outside the U.S. And we act as health coaches because, of course, we cannot practice medicine in the U.S., but we can help you with all the lifestyle changes you need to do, which is the core message we give here. Is the main change that most people need to do to start turning their life around and getting to a better health and avoid a heart attack. So if you're in that position, you're frustrated with your current medical care, give us a call, 859-721-1444. And if you're not ready to commit to that, that's fine. You can start with Dr. Brewer's 7-step heart attack prevention protocol. There is a link in the description where you can download it for free. And that could be a good first step for you if you are new to the channel as well. Secondly, we have a new house call project. So the Dallas, we opened submission forms for Dallas. We're going to be in Dallas at the end of September doing this specific house call project where Dr. Brewer is going to go to the houses of the 2 persons who won for this first stage, talking to them directly at their homes and identifying what the weak spots are in regards to their health. And we're going to be recording the whole thing to create a new series of videos trying to communicate this message to a broader audience so people can identify and know what we're trying to do and what they could do on their own home. We have a new option. If you live near to the Phoenix area, we have 2 dates, 16th to the 17th of October and 18th to the 19th of October. We're going to be in Phoenix. And if you're interested in being part of this new house call project, you live in Phoenix, and you will be willing to open your house to the world to see and getting some specific feedback from Dr. Brewer, you don't need to call. Just go into the description, and I have a link right there where you can apply. I was closing applications last Monday, but unfortunately, the people who applied are not living in the Phoenix area. So we're going to do that part of the pilot on Phoenix. So this is only open for people living near there. Dr. Brewer, any comments before we go to the questions?
Nope.
All right. So Aspen, can you give us the transition? Whatever you want, the water ball or the plaque image. So
Hey,
we know what
clean
Aspen
up that.
prefers.
What's that?
Aspen prefers that one. That's what it was.
You're going to have to clean up that plaque image. As you
Aspen,
know,
we need to start working on that, Aspen. Send me a message.
that's right.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the comments. First, a shout out to Randy Schwartz, who just became a member. Thank you so much. That really goes a long way. Next week, we're going to be posting our monthly exclusive members video where we'll be answering some of your comments and questions. So wait for that. I actually have to send you a question for you to answer, Dr. Brewer. I'll send that over. You can click on the join button next to the subscribe button if you're not already. This is not YouTube Premium. This is being a member for the channel. And you get some perks like those exclusive videos every month and getting your questions answered first during the live show. Just like Rick Folia. Good morning, Rick. Javelin, somebody was take ideas.
Javelin.
Thanks, Javelin. Thanks so much. Take ideas are which is better, full plank or hands or on elbows. I like doing elbows, supporting elbows, aligning those with the shoulders. I found those more comfortable for me. I don't know what do you think, Dr. Brewer?
I don't have an opinion.
Yeah. I mean, not holding on your elbows, like the complete forearm, like giving full support. That's what I mean. And I think it's less risk of injury if you do it that way. Well, this is kind of an answer to Sweet Kitten. You do what you can do, not let peer pressure push you into a pain. And that's the problem sometimes with going to the gym. Like I gotta tell you this. I was very hesitant to go into the gym, but I think I kind of max out with the things that I think I can do at home, and I'm thinking of biting the bullet and just going to getting a gym subscription, which I really didn't want it to do. But that's kind of the stuff, like going to the gym, and sometimes the environment is not the best.
I
But I
used to
agree.
live across the street from a gym, and that was great. But it was a local YMCA that was just a really high end Y, and we had a lot of that, a whole lot of um, iron head kind of guys. Now I live fairly near a gym that was developed for therapy within a physical therapy department of a hospital. And it's much more of a, you don't get so much of that peer pressure. It's very, very nice. But they've got great, great equipment. I only go to a gym 1 day a week. And it's because, um, you know, we mentioned earlier a little bit more about changes going on with mine. When you and Fred and I took that trip a couple of months ago, and I started doing these prolonged low lunges, isometric low lunges, and the prolonged wall seats, wall squats, I had to really change my my workout, my internal workout, especially here at home, because I was just so sore and burned out. It really made changes. It was a good kind of change, and I can actually notice some improved strength. But it was very interesting. And again, I don't go to a gym more than once a week. I think that's one of the things that people need to hear, is that there's so much you can do, and you don't need to dress up and go across town to a gym.
Yeah, unless you want to dress like Jack LaLanne, right?
That's right.
A new member. Let me see if I can put it on the screen. Tony Hepburn, thank you so. Oh, first, I'm sorry. Spiral Flash, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And Tony Hepburn, who just sent a super chat, thank you so much. Really, those go a long way for the team that makes possible Dr. Brewer can be here with you guys. It's been a long way since the shaky paper days. Now the team is just really, really big. This hardworking people. Miller Woods, I am not happy if I have pain from exercising, but I worry a lot more about injury, which can set me back for weeks. Yeah, yeah. And it has to do with I think the two main points, unless I'm mistaken, let me know, Dr. Brewer. The main points are technique and how much weight you put on you. If you have a good technique and you are increasing your weight gradually to where you can do 8 to 10 reps with some effort, but not you have to push or change your position when you do each rep, that's where you need to do. That's where you need to go.
There's another thing to be said for lower weights, but a big increase in reps. You know, a whole lot of people are saying don't do any low weight stuff, and the study that we quoted, that we covered today, would also say that same thing. But there's also a way to say, okay, we're just going to really crank up the number of reps, and that's got a lot more safety behind it.
Yeah, and there are some exercises. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Again, you start looking at some of the isometric stuff that we're looking at now, and that's very, very safe and very intense at the same time.
Yep. And actually on the study, which I didn't mention and I meant to, they used a lot of exercises with resistance bands. So if you like those, that's another great option, focusing on exercising for the legs though.
So, and just to repeat for folks that may not have picked it up or may have joined late, bottom line was the intense training had a significantly better impact 4 years later.
Yep. I think the benefits lasted. They saw the benefits starting on year 1, and they lasted for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Take ADSR. Burn and pain are two different things. Pain that radiates down from hip to leg should trigger stopping that specific exercise. Yes, it's very different, especially if it goes behind your leg. That might be more like a sciatica or pinched nerve pain, which is not normal. That's not what you're looking for.
I know you didn't have that up there, and I know that JJ James is not a member.
I apologize.
But we had to show that. Look at those pearly whites. Show everybody your new oral image.
No more braces.
No more braces. Congratulations, Jesus. Looks great. And I appreciate JJ
acknowledging that. The patient from yesterday actually acknowledged that as well. I really appreciate it. I gotta say, like, even though I'm a physician, I didn't have the best, when I say home routine.
Oral health care.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
I lost a couple of pieces. So when they fixed it with the braces, they did the best they could do. Like right now, I have the best mouth I have ever had, and I'm planning to take care of it.
Well, you had some major challenges in terms of your earlier life. So.
Oh yeah. No, and I used what do you call a pacifier up until I was 5 years old. So
oh my gosh, I didn't know that part.
That messed up my teeth. Yeah.
At some point, we got to tell your origin story.
Well, yeah, it can be interesting, but it's not the main thing on the show. I might do it on a members video if somebody is interested on that. All right. So thank you so much, AJ James. I appreciate it. Miller Woods, gotta say, I appreciate the candor. Need a kick in the pants from time to time. I need it too. You're not alone. Dr. Brewer is way more disciplined than I am. I really need it. I sometimes need somebody to tell me, hey, get up from the computer, stop working, and start working out. I
got that from my mama. Yeah, so I got my own origin story stuff too, which we won't get into today.
Which is an interesting one too.
Yeah. I will say this much. My mom was very, very good at the kick in the pants part.
Oh yeah. No, I was a spoiled child. I mean, I wasn't a spoiled kid, but I was very blessed. So yeah. I was on the other side of the fence on that. Donald McLaughlin, Wuhan, China. Wow. I don't think Donald has shared that before. As someone with heart disease, bypass surgery, is it okay to do planks? I run up 50 flights of stairs with 1-2 minute breaks every 5 floors. I don't see a reason why somebody with a bypass surgery could not do planks. Do you?
No, in fact, well, see, the only issue with bypass surgery is I have had one patient who got into doing flies, where you have the weights you spread eagle on your back and you have the weights in each hand, dumbbells in each hand, and you're pulling up. The only problem with that was he pulled some of the union of the sternum, the very front part of the chest, and he had pain for the rest of his life associated with that. So if you've had your sternum opened up like that, just be very careful about what you do pulling on that scar.
Yeah.
Because it's held with it's basically bone that's been cut down the middle, and it often does, and then it's wired back together, and it often doesn't heal as well as soft tissue. Now, there's another aspect to this though, and that is people assume if you have heart disease, you have to not do intense exercise. Nothing could be further from the truth. Make sure that you're healthy and that you're ready for intense exercise now. Once you have done that, there's nothing better for rehabilitation from heart disease than intense exercise.
Yeah. And my mind automatically went to bypass like years from now. So that's why I was like, I don't see a problem. But you can do some inclined planks as well. There are
Yeah.
some alternatives that you could do to minimize the pressure on the sternum. Yeah, good point. Another world, muscle pain, I don't blink. It's joint injury that I fear. I don't know if it's really an injury or some type of arthritis, and you don't want either of those. So,
Right.
as we mentioned, it's about technique, intensity, and really listening and reading your body as you're doing the exercises.
I think where I think what the disconnect is, and I think what we need to focus on and dig deeper in and understand is number one, the difference between muscle burn, which is good, and joint pain, which is
It's
not
bad.
good,
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, definitely. Harvey Ups, what time of day is better for exercise? Fasted state, frequency per week. I am moving my eating window to an earlier day, exercise later afternoon. What about protein after exercise? I want to tell you what I prefer, which would be the ideal. And I am personally working towards that. I'm working towards exercising every day. That's number one. How much? There are plenty of benefits of starting your day with exercise, even fasted. Plenty. And if you're able to do 30 minutes up to an hour beginning your day with exercise, that will be fantastic. Also, there are the exercise snacks that Dr. Brewer likes to talk about, which you can do multiple times a day. And if you can do an extra, maybe 15, 30 minutes in the afternoon, that will be good. And then you rest one day from the week. And of course, you're going to be working multiple different sections of your body, so you're not overtraining your legs every day. I think that would be the ideal. What do you think, Dr. Brewer? You're muted for some reason. Did you click on something?
Sorry about that. So I agree. I think people that get into overtraining are doing too much repetition of the same exercise. You see that a whole lot with distance runners, like marathon runners and stuff like that. With all of the problems and challenges with modern day bodybuilding, I do think they have one thing right, and that is you can greatly increase the amount of time that you're training, but you need to vary the type of training, the part of your body that you're training, and the type of workout.
Yeah. Remember, your muscle grows when you're resting, actually,
Mm-hmm.
when you're sleeping. You need to get some good sleep combined with that exercise. So you're not going to be working legs every day. That's the key.
But likewise, it's not going to grow until and unless you stress it, you stimulate it.
Yeah, exactly. Protein after exercise. I'm not sure if it's better after the exercise. I think you can just take it before. And even you can add some healthy carbohydrates before the exercise if your goal is to grow muscle. Some healthy carbohydrates can help you do that a little bit faster. I mean, you can grow muscles on keto. There's no doubt about it. But I do personally think that it's easier if you add some carbohydrates. But you use that energy coming from those carbs. The worst thing you can do is adding the carbohydrates and not exercising. That's not what you should be doing. And if I'm mistaken in something, just let me know, Doctor. Take ADSR. Muscle pain isn't always the muscle feeling the pain. It can be referred pain from spine, sciatica L4, L5 as an example. Yes, sometimes kind of spine injuries can create some kind of pain that goes into the muscle, but it's very different. Like you can feel it. It's a complete different type of pain. And I want to say maybe we should talk about muscle burn rather than muscle pain. So it's clear, right? Muscle is a glucose sink. Yes. And Miller's sharing that it hurts. This is not spine related. Elbows, knees, ankles. Yeah, and ribs. And I know that's sometimes another handicap that you guys have against you, right? Like you had all injuries, you already have a messed up shoulder, a messed up elbow, wrists. So that limits you from making certain exercises, which I understand. But I'll be surprised if there's no exercise that you can do.
Well, that's the thing. I think a lot of people give up. Well, not I think, I know. One of the more common problems is this thing of, well, I've got a knee problem, so I can't do something, or I've got a hip problem, so I can't do something. You got to have the discipline and the creativity to figure out what you can do that will work, what you can do safely that will still stimulate those muscles.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't stimulate your muscles, you're not gonna be able to live a long, healthy life.
Yep. The ideas are not quads, but inner elbow tendon and the tendon on top of the foot. Takes a long time to heal. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the problem. You don't want to get injured because that's going to set you back. Chris Link, one weird pleasure I get out of going to the gym is when a younger person sees this 62-year-old man bench pressing a lot more than they do. Yeah. Well, that they're on the other side of the fence. But I don't think you're showing off. I mean, that's just kind of another additional benefit of actually doing the work. How many 63 years old you know that are able to bench press a lot? There are not many.
Let me mention this one. I'll disagree. Michael Pregler. I'll disagree with the carbohydrate part. I'm a carnivore. Don't have any problems growing muscle at age 67. Michael, I tend to fall more on your side. I know there's a common belief that you have to have carbs. I think, Jesus, you mentioned that a few minutes ago.
I'm talking about the speed, not necessity.
The what?
The speed. How quickly you will gain muscle by adding some carbs.
It's a good point. Again, to me, I think the jury is still out in terms of the evidence associated with can you not grow muscle without carbs? That's the reigning theory among bodybuilders and among a lot of athletes outside of bodybuilding. I do know that you can grow muscle, and you can also do significant endurance training without carbs. But unfortunately, and so, like I said, I tend to lean more towards Michael's position. I would love to see a lot more evidence in that space, Michael.
Yeah. And I want to say, I mean, I did not say that you can't grow muscle. I just said it's easier if you add some carbs.
Yeah.
That's all I said. In other words, when you're sick of Dallas and Phoenix, you might do some shows remotely. The idea for the House Call project is actually to be there,
Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole thing, kind of a more personalized experience that will benefit the person who's willing to be part of the show. And it's also kind of a different show from the lives, a different show from the usual educational videos. We call it Dr. Brewer's moonshot. He really wanted to do something like that, and we're just gonna try and see what happens.
So Millard, one of the things that we were looking at, we had a couple of comparisons come up. One of them was Hell's Kitchen with Gordon Ramsay. Another one was a House Calls kind of project with Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer. And for both of them, basically what it's doing is it's looking at real people and saying, okay, real people that are willing to open the kimono, to bring people into their house and say, okay, what I do in my house is a reflection of the habits and decisions that I make, including what we have in our pantry, what we have in our refrigerator. And, it may not work, but we're certainly going to try it. One of the things, because those decisions drive everybody's health much more so than what you do with the doctor, the medication prescriptions you get. We wanted what I wanted to do is find people that were set up where we could do that, where we would be traveling already and say, okay, yeah, I'll let the public in and I'll help share some of the struggles that I have. So we're going to work at it. And that's the idea.
Fantastic. Good RBLX1. Thank you, Dr. Ford and Dr. Jesus. Dr. Ford, following your videos, my dad escaped a stent last month. He's stable now. God bless you and your group. I'm glad to hear that the videos are helping. Just want to make sure your dad is making lifestyle changes, because if he was on the edge of a stent, that means he probably has arterial plaque, and that's the moment to start doing something about it, right? If he hasn't. Any reactions to that, Dr. Brewer?
Nope. One of the more common reasons for coming to see us is a person has seen a cardiologist and had some imaging done, and the cardiologist has said, you need a stent or you need a bypass. We can't do a stent. You need something, and you need a bypass. And there's a lot of people that have heard us talk about the evidence. The evidence is pretty clear. Although 90%, this was a few years ago, this was over 5 years ago. At that point in time, 90% of stents were done to prevent heart attacks, and they don't prevent heart attacks. They don't. The evidence is very clear. The Courage trial, the Orbita trial, and those trials were very clear. With one of them, I can't remember which of the two it was. I think it was the Orbita trial. It was done in England. Many researchers say it never would have been done here because of what we call human subjects review, that really you could not and should not do that. But they did it, and it's a good thing that they did. They took people, it looks like...
Oh, your video went off for some reason. Oh, you're back.
Weird. Anyway, so what they did was they took people that were already set up to have a stent, and those people agreed to be randomized. And the two randomized groups were, both of them went to the hospital, both of them went to the cath lab, both groups got all dressed up and ready, got ready for surgery. Both of them even got put to sleep. Both groups did. Then here was the randomization. Some of them actually had a stent put in. That was the control group. The experiment group did not have a stent put in. They were not told that they had the stent put in. And again, another reason why that wouldn't happen in the U.S. is because doctors are paid more if they actually get the stent. So there's a big problem there, financial problem. The results of that trial showed it didn't prevent, having had the stent put in did not prevent heart attack or events in the future. So very, very strong evidence that stents don't prevent heart attack. So that was a few years ago. And guess what's happened in terms of preventive stents since then? They're no longer 90%. They're more like 95, 98%. It's just, you pay doctors to do stents, they're going to convince their patients they need to have a stent. So we have a lot of folks come to us hearing, I need to have a stent. One of the more common first questions that we have in that situation is, well, are you doing HIIT training? Most of them that are coming to us with that question are saying, yeah, I'm doing HIIT. And the question is, are you having pain in your chest when you're doing HIIT? Most often the answer is no, I'm not. So obviously the heart muscle is getting plenty of oxygen. Anyhow, I'm going down a bunny hole here. I wanted to get that piece of information out, though, because I want people to understand a little bit of basics in that space.
Yeah, it's important to clarify. Glad you did. I think I have a couple of questions before we go, because we're almost at the hour mark. Okay, somebody had the same question about stents, like Miller said. Rick Foley has a good point. I had 6 stents. Prior to them, I couldn't really exercise. The stents have enabled my ability to exercise with no issues at all. And that can happen as well. Some people might get that increased blood flow after the stent if they get a good result. And that's one of the advantages of doing a stent. It can help.
Yeah. So
Um,
one of the
some
places where the evidence is a little bit foggy is if you have angina. Slightly
yeah,
different question.
yeah, for chest pain, I mean, there are reports of 50-50, so it kind of is like a coin toss.
Now I've got to pop that up there. Have you
I
seen
was
Doctor?
about to. I was about to. But because I think I'm being misinterpreted. I never
Yeah.
said you can't. I just said if you add some carbs before your training routine, you get some advantage. You get more glycogen reserves. You kind of help the muscle use that glucose into its advantage. That's all I'm saying. If you
Yeah, and
want
I
to
don't.
grow, you're gonna grow muscles with just keto and carnivore. You can do it. Like I didn't say you can't.
To that point, Jesus, I don't know how much you're being misinterpreted and how much that your comment raised this issue. There's a
Well,
very, very strong belief that you got to have carbs to build muscle.
and that's
And
not what I'm saying either.
I know that's not what you're saying. I get
Yeah.
that all the time. I'll make a comment that's a little bit more nuanced. And instead of people actually hearing the nuance, they hear the red flag.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think, and we have said this before, and this might get us some backlash, but we have said it. I don't think a carnivore diet works for everyone.
Oh my gosh, you're going to get beat up.
I'm gonna get beat up. And I went into Dr. Kill's podcast. There's a video about it, and I think I said it there. I was like, "Look, I love my meat. You know that. I love my meat. I don't
Yeah,
think a
you're
carnivore
more
diet
of a
will work.
carnivore than I am.
Yeah, and I don't think a carnivore diet, exclusive carnivore diet, will work for me. There's a big spectrum in which where you can fit. I'm more like a keto board, but that's just my personal preference. Um, and we have seen people doing full carnivore diet, and then they go into more like a low carb keto board type, and they get better. Some people are in a keto board and they go into more like a carnivore, strict carnivore diet, and they get better. I think it's not so easy just to say one diet is going to help everyone at
And
the
I
same
don't
rate.
do
Yeah.
and I don't do carnivore, not for, but it's for a different reason. You know, when I did experiment with very, very low, I'm ketotic about 4 or 5 days a week. Um, and when I get when I get ketotic 7 days a week and very much more deep ketosis, my LDL goes from its normal 70, 60 to 80 up to about 180. And then I'm not really concerned about that increase in LDL, which is one of the issues that we're getting a question about. I'm more concerned about enjoying my life and continuing to have a decrease in my cardiovascular risk. And I'm accomplishing that in spades. I mean, we've documented that very well. You don't have to go zero carbs to be where you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And as Jesus said, I don't want to live the life of a monk. I grew up in the deep southeastern United States, the land of sweet tea and ice cream and ice cream on top of blackberry cobbler. So I think a lot of the ketovores and carnivores would turn their nose up at my diet, but I enjoy it.
Yeah. And also, I'm just going to say one more thing, and you tell me. Dr. Baker starting being carnivore around 2016, right? But he has been doing resistance training and weight and lifts since he was 27.
Mm-hmm.
So how much of that muscle growth was after 2016? And if he wasn't carnivore before 2016, how much of that muscle comes from a carnivore diet versus what he was doing before?
So in other words, did he get the majority of his growth when he was eating muscle growth when he was eating carbs?
I'm just throwing the question out there.
Oh, Jesus, you're going to get beat up again.
I'm going to get beat up. I'm glad that it's at the end of the show. And Donald, we love you. I hope you don't hate me. That's just pure perspective of the things that I look at. I question. That happens. All right. Anyway, enough drama, enough things. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining us. We love you as usual. And we'll be looking forward to the next show. Don't miss our show this Saturday. We have a very cool interview with Dr. Nina Teichels. If you want to see that, definitely. Any goodbye message?
Nope.
All right. I think we should go back to thank you for your interest. That's better than nothing. I fail looking for a better quote to exit the show.
Well, thank you for your interest.